I just completed an Emerald Map Randomizer, but every time I find a Pokemon Center, I have to complete a different punishment. Here's how it went. In this copy of Emerald, every door, entrance, exit, teleporter, and a hole in the ground you can fall through is completely randomized. It can lead to any location at all on the map, a gym, a Pokemon Center, an Elite Four member, or sometimes just a random house. The goal for this challenge is to find and defeat all gym leaders, the Elite Four, the champion, and in the case of Emerald, Steven Stone, in order. But I decided to add an additional layer of challenge. Each time that I ended up inside a Pokemon Center across the Hoenn region, I have to complete a punishment. Today, chat, you might be wondering what all that other shit is on the wall. A round Taylor Swift calendar that's been there. All of these white pieces of paper, chat, those are all town names of every single town that is a Pokemon Center in Pokemon Emerald. And what I'll be doing is every time that I find a Pokemon Center, and I don't just mean we find one from the outside and we waltz on in. I mean, when I am teleported into a Pokemon Center in any town, I have to go grab the corresponding town off of the wall, and there is a punishment written on the back of each of those cards. So there are 17 total Pokemon Centers, and for every single Pokemon Center I discover, I have to complete a punishment or a challenge of some kind. I had my brother and his friends create the punishments, so I had absolutely no clue what I was up against. And while some of them ended up being pretty lighthearted, chat picks outfit for rest of stream. I quickly learned that finding a new Pokemon Center was not always something to celebrate. With the rules out of the way, it's time to get into the challenge. Our battle against the random teleports starts now. I started off this challenge in the only non-randomized section of the game, Little Root Town. Because almost every event in the game is behind the intro tutorial, these areas remain unchanged to allow you to get everything required to properly set off on your journey. With the clock set and some breaking and entering at our neighbor's house, it was time to pick a starter. And we know that there's only one right answer. With Mudkip selected and appropriately named, it was time to go. I set off for Old Dale Town, the beginning of the randomized locations. Eager to show off this mod to my chat, I made my way into the first house. Just to show what's going on here. Oh, come on! The first building is a Pokemon Center? Are you joking? Yeah, so it was at this point that I realized I was in for a long road ahead. I retrieved the challenge off the wall and took my first look, and I instantly got flashbacks. This is my worst nightmare, chat. I had to do the mochi dance from the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet epilogue. And for everyone that watched me play that on stream, you understand how awful I found that. But one ridiculous dance later, and it was time to really dive into the beginning of this journey across the jumbled Hoenn region. From the Pokemon Center, I ended up at Naval Rock, which posed yet another challenge to this stream. I was very new to using this map tracker app, and I didn't realize that locations like this that only have one way to continue through don't have specific sections on the map, and instead you're just better off linking the building that you entered and your final destination. But I didn't realize all of that until much later in this, so many of my initial links in the map tracker were actually wrong, costing me a ton of time, as you will see later in the run. And of course, after I continued through this, I instantly ended up in the room with Phoebe. And we're now just at Phoebe. Okay, so that's good to know. While it was great to have, it certainly meant that I wouldn't be able to continue any further along this route. And upon dying, I found myself in another interesting predicament. I was now in Slateport City. Since I had healed at this Pokemon Center, the game tracked that as my last location, and I was now nowhere near the starting area of the game. This was a great opportunity to explore more of the region, but it also meant that I couldn't get back to the beginning of the game to start building a team or even complete the tutorial. And because of this, I didn't even have Pokeballs yet, which cemented in my mind just how important it was to get back to the beginning. Despite the draw of exploring this insane region, I believed in taking a step backward before moving forward, and set my sights on returning to Little Root Town. Along that path, I almost instantly stumbled into another Pokemon Center at Evergrande City, leading to the second punishment of the run: write a haiku poem. While this was probably the tamest punishment of them all, I got to work and cooked up this beautiful piece of writing. All right, I got my haiku cooked up. You cannot read that, but it's: I am a gamer. I will catch all Pokemon. Last line: Please follow on Twitch. Run that shit up. With the follow button hit, it was time to keep moving forward. The issue with this was that I again was in front of another town with only a level 5 mudkip, and I couldn't traverse through many locations without getting instantly knocked out by pretty much every single trainer or wild Pokemon. This was especially difficult in areas that required me to run through a location to get to an exit on the other side. I also discovered during this time the location that fittingly became my own personal hell over the course of this run, Mount Pyre. With its numerous drop downs and doors, this location was super hard for me to track, and I was constantly rewriting over old links to this location on the map tracker, leading to a ton of confusion pretty much any time I ended up here. Regardless, a couple doors later, I found myself in Rustboro City, a land of opportunity with its numerous buildings and the closest I had been to the start of the game. It felt like the perfect opportunity to find my way back to Littleroot, but instead this quickly became a labyrinth and yet another location that had me teleporting wildly across the Hoenn region. On the bright side, I managed to find Glacia during all of this, already giving me access to half of the Elite Four members, which would become vital when it came time to challenging them. And further down the road, I stumbled into the 5th gym while in Pacific Town, giving me the first of 8 gym leaders that I needed to find. And after more wandering, I ended up back in Rustboro and checked the building next to the gym. That's fine for now. Okay, this is the first gym. That's huge. That is so huge. Okay, ironically, the building next to the gym is the first gym. While I couldn't fight right away, finding the first gym felt like a huge step in the right direction, allowing me to easily claim the first of 8 gym badges when the time came. But still, getting back to the beginning was on my mind. Further along, I found myself at the abandoned ship, which was another area that would allow me to access a ton of different locations later in the challenge, but for now, I was luckily on the outside looking in. And as I left, I stumbled upon something else. So that's the exit of the abandoned ship. Leads us to a Pokemon Center. Okay, we are in Lily Cove City. The next challenge, to spin in my chair for 30 seconds, is not incredibly hard to do, but it was certainly a challenge considering the very large breakfast I had had right before stream. And after a walk across the room that mirrored the look of someone coming home from the bar at 3 a.m., hey, we've all been there, it was time to keep searching. I was almost an hour into this challenge and still couldn't make my way back to the start to finish the tutorial, but I knew I had to be close. And it turns out that I was right. But I didn't discover that until after finding the insanely packed inside of the abandoned ship and deciphering a braille puzzle in one of the Reggie locations. But finally, it was time to go home. Oh my goodness, chat, we made it. Oh my God. Oh my God, we have found our way back to Oldale Town after 58 minutes. Almost an hour in one May battle later, I was able to run back to the lab and finally get my Pokedex, Pokeballs, and the running shoes. I was now truly ready to set out on this adventure. I started by going back to Oldale Town to finish checking the other buildings, and one led to Rusturf Tunnel, which will be pretty helpful later when I need to get the HM for strength, but otherwise for now it's a bit of a dead end. So I decided to close it out and check out the final house in Oldale. So that's what I need to do first. Dude, there's 2 Pokemon centers in Oldale Town. Whose idea was this? And with that, it was time for yet another punishment. This time around, I had to put my physical strength to the test with 50 push-ups. While it wouldn't be the end of the world, I really haven't done push-ups pretty much since high school. All right, chat. Drop down and give me 50, chat. Let's go. But with a couple of breaks in between, I was able to rep them out. 50 push-ups. Oh my God. That was awful. And I can confidently say now, a week later writing this video, my arm muscles just stopped hurting like 2 days ago. So this certainly took its toll on me even long after I completed the last rep. But now I got the pump going on. Ow, I just flexed and that hurt. Oh, cramp. That arm having a heart attack. One or the other. Oh, now it's cramping on the other side. But for my efforts, I was gifted a great reward. Of Mauville. A Pokemart, finally, dude. After selling the couple of items I had managed to find, I could finally purchase some Pokeballs and Great Balls and work on adding more Pokemon to the team than just Mudkip. While the challenge hadn't got off to the best start, I was still pretty optimistic. Yeah, it's gonna be probably a very long stream. If I had to guess, probably like 4 or 5 hours. But regardless, the map was starting to open up. I had found connections to most major areas of the map and managed to work my way all the way back to Petalburg to start clearing out the buildings there. Okay, we have another Pokemon Center, chat. Yay! Verdant Turf Town, which I'm in. Chat picks outfit for rest of stream. For this challenge, I just decided to grab a bunch of different clothing options and had my chat pick what they liked the best. And one outfit change later, I was ready to get underway. I ended up in Sky Pillar and thought that this would be the perfect time to start adding Pokemon to my team. I planned on saving and resetting if I failed an encounter or got knocked out so I could keep attempting to catch stuff, but then this happened. Let's try to encounter something here and see if I can catch it. Ooh, error creating file, save. Ooh, that's... Can I do like a save state? Okay, so I can't save this game. This was not only problematic because it meant I couldn't reset to catch Pokemon now, it also meant I wouldn't be able to reset to catch any of the legendary Pokemon that I would encounter later in this run. And on top of that, I wouldn't be able to save and return to the game the next day. This was a sign to me that I had to do this in one go. And while that was the original plan all along, there were certainly some moments later in this challenge where I began to question if that was really a good idea. Regardless, I went in and encountered a Claydol. Considering it's almost 30 levels ahead of my only other Pokemon, it would be a great addition to the team and allow me to finally traverse through some of the other parts of the map. And with one Great Ball and a Dream, I caught it. A couple of minutes later, I also came across a Pelipper, which would be a huge addition when I finally got access to Fly. This would allow me to freely navigate across the entire region and get to the exact buildings that I needed. And though that time was insanely far ahead of me, I took this opportunity to grab it and add it to the team. With Pelipper added, the team was finally starting to take shape a little bit. And being in Lily Cove, I realized I could get back to Rustboro to take on the first gym. Nearly 2 hours into the challenge, I decimated everyone in the first gym and minutes later took down Roxanne to claim my first gym badge. Though it was just the first step, it was great to finally get a gym badge and cross one off the list. But now, it was time to continue hunting for more gyms. Right around this time, someone posed an important question in my chat. Can you get soft blocked in this? And the honest answer is, I don't really know. Because this game was randomized completely differently from the original randomized versions developed for PointCrow, I wasn't sure if there were safeguards in place to prevent you from soft blocking. I just figured I would get as far as I could in each area, and if it looked like I would soft block, turn back or just knock my Pokemon out to reset my location, or if all else fails, soft reset the game to my last save. With that plan in hand, I continued moving forward, but mere minutes later, I was forced into action. I came across a route that automatically made you surf, despite me not having surf unlocked, and not thinking ahead, I went over to this small patch of land, not remembering it was blocked by Kecleon. Am I soft locked here though, because there's a Kecleon? Because I didn't have the Devon scope or the HM for surf, I couldn't make it off this small patch of land. Looking at my backup plans, I couldn't get into encounters to knock myself out, and I couldn't soft reset because the game wouldn't let me save. So my only option left besides completely restarting the run was to cheat. And while I'm not happy with it, it felt like the best alternative to starting over from scratch, and my chat agreed. And don't worry, I will pay for this moment later on. But one quick moment of walk through walls later, I was able to keep going. I just knocked out all of my Pokemon in the grass to emulate what I would have done if I had access to encounters earlier, and that way I wouldn't be able to use this opportunity to get ahead to places on the map I hadn't been yet. This stun actually ended up putting me in Verdant Turf Town, which was super nice because I had yet to explore any of it. My chat mentioned that I could do a veto punishment to compensate for the need for cheats, which I let them decide on. During this time, I also ended up in Moss Deep City, which was a gold mine for new locations and also gave me access to the Rock Smash HM and the third gym. While I was eager to get another gym checked off, I remember that oftentimes in this challenge, the rule is to beat all of the gyms in order. This is usually due to the necessity of having to beat a certain number of gyms before triggering story events to unlock the next gym, or even let you battle the gym altogether in the case of Norman. But technically in this game, the third and fourth gym can be completed before the second. And since those gyms give access to Rock Smash and Strength, two HMs that often blocked new areas of the map, I was hesitant on whether I should just fight Watson now to get access to Rock Smash and knock out another gym, but my chat and I landed on just waiting a bit and leaving that as more of a last resort option if I couldn't find anywhere else to go that wasn't blocked by Rock Smash. Leaving the gym, I opened up the veto punishments to see what I was up against. Any point, I'm going to burn one. I'm going to do the challenge. Because I had to get my way out of here. So our veto challenges: best fish out of water impression, gift a sub. The third one is do the duo Trigordle, which I think is like a mega Wordle. It's 32 Wordles at the same or Win a game of online chess. I landed on attempting the Duo Trigordle. That's right, that is a real thing, and it is exactly as insane as it sounds. And with that taken care of, I was free to keep moving across Moss Deep. And I swear you cannot write moments better than this one. It's hydrating like crazy, thanks to chat. Another Pokemon Center? What? All right, Old Dale Town. Handstand for 10 seconds. Following the 50 push-ups, this punishment was pretty rough, but after being a horrible upstairs neighbor and one decent handstand later, it was time to hopefully start making some real progress. Well, as it turns out, I shouldn't have got my hopes up because about 5 minutes later, I was right back to it. Once we get going though, chat, it is going to speed up so much. And it's a fucking Pokemon Center. Our challenge. It's honestly not that bad. Shot of lemon juice. Despite being constantly derailed by Pokemon Centers and punishments, it did all have a payoff. All right. Fourth gym though. Okay, wait, that's huge. This was a great find for me, getting the total up to 4 gyms found so far, and also giving me the option to come back and get access to strength when the time came. While I still only had 1 gym badge now over 3 hours into the challenge, it was nice to know that once I picked up momentum, the rest of the challenge would follow pretty swiftly. And to keep that going even further, I stumbled upon something else while wandering through Granite Cave. 8th gym. Okay. It may have been well off the beaten path, but it was yet another gym leader I had now located, bringing me over halfway through finding all the gym leaders of the Hoenn region. This had me excited, thinking I was just a couple more gyms away from getting all of my badges pretty fast. But the final 3 gyms really made me work for them. And to be honest, we will not see any of those for a while, so let's go back to what happens in between. Immediately after leaving the gym back into Granite Cave, I encountered an Abra, which I knew could be an insanely helpful tool. With the move Teleport, I would always be able to return to a Pokemon Center regardless of how lost or soft locked I got, and it aided as a perfect piece of insurance to have on the team. Unfortunately, my team was full at the time, so Abra went to the PC and I just have to pick it up later. And heading back the way I came, I was unable to re-enter Sky Pillar, looking like a potential soft lock, and I headed back into Granite Cave and hatched the genius plan of escape roping out into Dewford. That is not what ended up happening, and I think we used the escape rope. I don't know where this is going to put me, potentially just in Dewford Town, and son of a bitch, it puts me right back where I am soft locked. But then I just remembered I could go lose to the 8th gym, and with that done, I was back to exploring. Continuing along, I was in desperate need of a Pokemon Center, and after squad wiping a family of 4, I barged into their home to find the very thing I was looking for. Getting Abra in the party. Okay, so this house leads to Naval Rock, which leads to a Pokemon Center. Okay. I was thrilled to finally add Abra to my team, even if it meant another punishment was in order. And the challenge for this one was the most open-ended. I couldn't continue until I caught a Swablu. Considering I had only been in Falarbor Town once and I really didn't remember my way back, I figured the best alternative was to just complete this challenge in another game. While I booted up my Switch, my brother, who was in charge of the challenges, was in chat and clarified that I could in fact continue playing Emerald, but instead of just wildly exploring, I now had to prioritize finding a Swablu instead. I'll be honest, it was a bit of a weird challenge, but hey, Swablu's pretty cool, so I can't be all that mad. So with that goal set, I went on a quest for this bluebird, and in comedic fashion, that hunt came to a screeching halt maybe 20 seconds later. And now we can go to the left. Leads to another Pokemon Center in Petalburg. And to add to my list of things to do, I now had the unfortunate task of eating a spoonful of hot sauce. Yum. I really didn't think this would be all that bad, as I have this hot sauce a lot, but by itself it is still quite overwhelming and just did not taste great. But with some more fuel in my system, the seemingly endless quest for the second gym continued. I ended up back in Granite Cave and was able to grab Flash, but similar to Rock Smash, it would only become helpful after finding and beating the second gym. But after this, it was time to find crazy Pokemon, as I came across Mew while entering Mr. Briny's cottage, which I managed to catch, and then immediately found Groudon, which I decided I would come come back to since I couldn't save to reset for this encounter. After that, I found myself back in the Aqua hideout for seemingly the 1 millionth time, and while checking some new teleporters, I found this. This is another Pokemon Center. Okay. Oh, this is Lava Ridge. Okay, yeah, this is Lava Ridge. I had to continue ruining my stomach by drinking a cup of black coffee, and as someone who barely likes coffee when it doesn't have a ton of cream or sugar in it, this was going to be tough, especially considering I planned on having a coffee later in the day as like a treat to keep me going, but instead it had now been turned into a punishment. On the upside, this would provide some much needed caffeine for later in this challenge, and after ending up on the other side of Route 112, I realized I could finally go grab Swablu to honor the previous challenge. So I traversed all the way across the top of the map and grabbed this blue bird to check that off the list. It was also around this time that I started to realize that I had made some mistakes on the tracking sheet earlier, especially when it came to Mount Pyre, which was making it really hard to remember where to go. I did my best to fix them as time went on, but it was still certainly a lingering issue for a while longer. But after traversing some more, I ended up back in the abandoned ship to clear out some of the final rooms and came across a great find. I feel like I've gone through this door, so I'm going to hold off for just a second, and we're going to check this final staircase. I mean, that's a great find. That is a great find. While I lost instantly, I was now over halfway through finding all the gym leaders, Elite Four, and Champion, which had me hoping that when the time came, I could run through all of these super quickly. And while that did end up being the case eventually, we are still a very long way from that point. Luckily for me though, all the excitement wasn't done just yet. I kept searching, and after finding a couple of new areas, of course, that meant it was time for another Pokemon Center. Really clear on that. Another Pokemon Center. The punishment for this was easy on the surface, but I was afraid it might take forever. Do the framed until you get it in 4 or less guesses. Oh my god, this is gonna take so long. For those who don't know, Framed is a daily puzzle game where you have to guess what movie you're seeing based on a single frame from the movie, and with each incorrect guess, you are given a different frame that is closer and closer to revealing the main plot or the main characters of the movie, making it easier to guess. As someone who does not watch a lot of movies, I was really concerned for this and afraid it would derail me from the serious progress that I needed to make. But somehow, for this challenge, I was gifted a win on a silver platter. Oh, this is the Mario movie. Mario movie. Oh, let's go. Oh, let's go. That's so clutch. Oh, let's go. What a performance. I recognized the third frame instantly as the Mario movie, having been the last movie that I had just seen a couple of weeks ago. And a few minutes later, I added to this hype by discovering another member of the Elite Four. Let's check down here. See where we can go. All right, that's Drake. That's huge. But just a couple minutes after that, the punishments were back. Yeah, and the shipyard brings me to... This is Fall Arbor Town. Okay, I have not been to Fall Arbor Town. Post a TikTok dance. I gotta learn a TikTok dance and then post it. For this challenge, I decided it would be best to just push it to the end of stream because I was anxious to really make more progress. At this point, I had found most of the gyms in Elite Four in seemingly every Pokemon Center, but I just really wanted to find the second gym so I could make another huge leap in completing this challenge. While the second gym continued to elude me, it didn't stop me from making progress in some form. Let's go in here. All right, we have found all of the Elite Four. With Sydney found, I had now discovered the locations of the entire Elite Four and Champion, meaning that when the time came, I could just breeze through all of them if I had the right team. While that wasn't the most helpful discovery at the time, it was pretty relieving knowing that the tail end of this challenge would go by a lot faster than it was going right now. During this time, I also went and completed the Kecleon event with Steven, so I could now avoid the situation I found myself in earlier and gain access to what would normally be the 6th gym. But I couldn't have even predicted the importance of what resided inside the Four Tree City gym. Jizz. We found it, chat. Oh, it hid from us for so long. After gambling away my life savings, I backtracked to fight May and gain the HM for Fly for later. Then I continued on into the Weather Institute. Okay, Weather Institute is clear. Weather Institute is a Pokemon Center. Okay. With this, I now had to release Claydol as it was my highest level Pokemon, but considering I hadn't managed to grab a legendary yet, I had really dodged a bullet with this challenge. But with Lost set free, it was time to continue searching in its honor. Through the next chunk of the challenge, I was starting to get a little tired and frustrated. I had been live for over 5.5 hours and I was starting to hit a plateau. Though I still had some areas to clear, it felt like I had checked almost everywhere that I had access to. There were a few spots here and there, but for the most part, I had cleared out all the major towns with only places like Victory Road still having a few locations left to check, and that was made pretty difficult by my lack of high-level Pokemon thanks to the last Pokemon Center challenge. It was the first time in the entire challenge where I was really starting to question if this was even possible, let alone doing it in one stream, but I decided to keep pushing through. It's also worth noting that around this time, I did catch some higher level Pokemon in Victory Road to hopefully help with the issue of my team always being at low health or just dead. But as I continued to hit dead end after dead end, I began to get a little desperate and figured that it was time to go grab the 3rd and 4th gym badges to unlock Rock Smash, then Strength, to help with opening up the remaining areas of the map. Though a goal of this challenge is to beat the gym leaders in order, I felt that it wasn't all that bad considering you can beat gyms 2 through 4 out of order in the base game. Let's go Let's go find and defeat Watson. And with that decision made, I backtracked to Moss Deep to enter the 3rd gym, and just like the regular game, used Marshdomp's Mud Shot to ruin his entire team. With the 3rd gym badge completed, I went into the game corner, which led to Flannery's gym, and with her defeated as well, I had the ability to use Strength outside of battle once I had obtained it. With some more exploring, I made it through the Fiery Path, which I had died at way earlier in the challenge, and found my way back to the end of the Aqua Hideout, which gave me access to the Master Ball. With it, I could finally add some legendary firepower to my team, and hopefully never have to worry about losing another battle. And after finding my way back to Petalburg, it was time to claim Groudon. With it added to the team, I no longer had to worry about making it past trainers, as you get Groudon and Kyogre at level 70 in these games, making them super OP. And from there, I finally made it to Rust Turf Tunnel to break this boulder and reunite an invisible couple, who rewarded me with the HM for Strength. And now with both that and Rock Smash, I had access to a ton of different pathways. My first order of business though was to take on Victory Road and Granite Cave, 2 locations that I'd avoided earlier due to not having the HMs necessary to navigate through them easily. But even after trekking all the way back to get into Victory Road, I was met with a pretty minimal reward, a Pokemart. As I continued, I really struggled to unlock anywhere new. Despite going into different ladders and locations I hadn't been before, it was just ending up in loops or places that I had already been. But after a bit more exploring, I found a new ladder in Victory Road that led to a different part of the abandoned ship, giving me a number of new ways to go. The first of which led to a Pokemon Center. The dig house leads us to a Pokemon Center. Okay, our first one in a long time. Wait, this leads us to Lava Ridge? Luckily for me though, it was the Lava Ridge Pokemon Center, which I had already been to, which meant I dodged a challenge for now, but it also meant that I really hadn't uncovered anything new. Doing some more exploring, I ended up back in the room with Phoebe, but I ran into a problem this time. Despite my best efforts to stall the battle and intentionally lose, even Groudon's struggle was powerful enough that it wiped her entire team. Looking back, I could have used items or Pokeballs to stall, but seeing as how I was now almost 7 hours into my stream, my brain wasn't exactly working to its fullest potential. And with that, I defeated Phoebe, technically breaking the rules for this challenge, but considering I still hadn't found the second gym yet, I really didn't mind. I went back to finish exploring the abandoned ship, and after venturing through Meteor Falls some more, the moment I had been waiting so long for finally happened. Please, for the love of God, be somewhere good. This is the second gym! Oh my God! Oh, chat, we finally found it. I was able to give Brawley the beatdown he deserved and gain access to Flash. But it wouldn't unlock any new areas. It would make the caves way easier to navigate and give me the ability to way more accurately traverse and track these locations, many of which were areas I'd avoided up to this point in the challenge. From there, I got back to Pacificlog and made my way into the 5th gym and fought Norman. With that done, I got automatically brought to Wally's house to get the HM for Surf, now giving me access to every HM I would actually need to complete this challenge. And we are stuck. This immediately put me into a place where I would get soft locked, but luckily I had long ago planned for this occasion. From there, it was time to reassess what locations I hadn't checked yet. And if you've been wondering what I've been staring at on my other screen for this entire challenge, this clip shows it off pretty well. So what I'm going to do is go over to Rustboro. Oh, is there any way I can get to Rustboro? Lily Cove City. Can I get to Lily Cove City? And we just play this game. Go to Lily Cove City. But during this time, I also realized I was missing one more vital piece to navigating the map, the Mach Bike. This would help me cross those cracked floor tiles in a couple of locations, which held a few more areas I had yet to check. In the middle of all of this, I had found Ho-Oh, but with some all-time bad luck, I used Metronome, which turned out to be Whirlwind, and Ho-Oh was gone forever. Continue on, I found myself with an unexplored path in the Aqua Hideout and decided to check it out. I actually don't know where this goes. I have this as a question mark. The Pokemon Center. Have I been here? It is Four Tree City, which I have not been to. Spend all your Pokédollars on mail. This challenge was pretty inconsequential, but still was annoying considering I could use some of that money to finally have healing items and better Pokeballs, but I kept moving forward. Yet somehow, now over 7 hours into this challenge, I somehow still had the worst luck. If I go here, this is another place I have not been yet. Okay, we get a nugget. We get another Pokemon Center. With yet another great thing added to my stomach, it was time to keep forging on. While I originally told myself I could stop around the 7-hour mark, I still felt like I was on the brink of making a lot more progress. And with only 2 gyms standing between myself and the end of the game, it just felt wrong to give up now. Fine, we have 1 place left to check down here. And then we're really low on ideas. Come on. Oh, that's so clutch. That is so clutch. We've needed this for so long. And it turns out my patience was rewarded as I finally stumbled upon Rydell's shop and managed to grab a mock bike, securing what turned out to be the final piece of the puzzle in this challenge. And I couldn't have been more right. I got back to Granite Cave, and after crossing the broken tiles, I was instantly rewarded. Get this ladder. This ladder leads to the 6th gym. Let's go. Let's go, chat. I was now just 1 gym away from wrapping up this entire challenge. But don't worry, it's not going to be that easy. On the bright side though, I now had access to Fly, making it infinitely easier to get around the map in locations I needed to check. While I was also wandering around in Granite Cave, I ended up back in a Pokemart. And now that I have found a Pokemart, I need to waste my $72,000. And while this Pokemart did not have mail, I spent all of my hard-earned money on X items that I would never use. And now broke, I was forced to continue on with the items that I just already had. The only exciting development for the next while was heading above Rustboro and discovering the location for Steven. While he is technically part of the post game, and I would have happily forgotten about him had I already discovered the 7th gym and beat the game, I now felt like I should fight him when the time came. From there, I just spent a ton of time checking old locations and updating my map tracker to ensure full accuracy now that I had a much better understanding of how to use the tool. But I was getting discouraged, and over 8 hours in and with only around 30 locations left on the entire map, I was wondering if despite all of my efforts, I would be unable to complete this challenge. And just when I thought it was over, I was given the very thing that I needed. This door I have yet to go through. And it's the 7th gym. Oh my God, that means we can do it. That means we can beat this. That was what we needed. With the 7th gym found, it was now just a matter of working my way back across the region to defeat the remaining gym leaders and Pokemon League members. And with Tate and Liza down, I could finally beat Juan and start the Elite Four. And I feel like it should come as no surprise at this point, but it was pretty much just Groudon's world and I was just living in it. It absolutely carried me through the Juan battle and then Sydney and Glacia. Sorry, Phoebe. But I did hit a bit of a bump in the road at Drake. Considering none of the moves I had were very effective and half of his team couldn't even be hit by ground moves, I actually struggled with this one for a bit. I got burned. There's gotta be some level of irony to that, right? But after realizing that I could just teach Groudon Shockwave, I was able to clear out Drake's Salamence and finally take on Champion Wallace. And despite my best efforts on the first go, Wallace was able to beat me with a toxic heal stall between his Milotic and Ludicolo, but after a couple of tries, I again just leaned on Shockwave to bring me to victory. Did we win? I think we won. Let's go, chat. Oh my God, that took so long. And with the champion defeated, there was only one man who stood between me and the end of this challenge. I made my way back to above Rustboro and into Meteor Falls, and regardless of his much higher level Pokemon, Groudon swept his team, allowing me to complete this Emerald Map Randomizer in a time of 8 hours, 34 minutes, and 34 seconds. In 69 centiseconds. Nice. And that marks the end of the Emerald Map Randomizer. This was by far the craziest challenge I have ever taken on, but it was so much fun. I had such a good time doing this, even if it took way longer than I ever expected, and I'm definitely planning on doing another one of these with different games at some point. It was just so cool experiencing the Hoenn region like this after playing it the same way so many times growing up, and it really put me to the test. I'm so grateful to have had my chat there with me the entire time, because I certainly would have lost my mind doing it without people to talk to. If you want to catch more insane challenges like this one live, head over to my Twitch channel, which is linked down in the description. And if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider dropping a like and a comment, and subscribing to the channel because I have a ton of really cool videos planned in the upcoming months. With that all done, once again, I want to say thank you for taking the time to check out this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.